Welcome to Faces of Riverside 2025, the podcast show where we are interviewing folks that are participating in this year's magazine. And these are folks within the community that are business leaders, community leaders, and folks that just contribute to the overall quality of life here in Riverside. And today we're joined by Citlalli Rojas from New York Life. And we're super excited to have you here. I want to give you a chance to kind of introduce yourself, and we'll have a conversation, and hopefully folks will have a better understanding of who you are, the work that you do, not only professionally, but within the community. And I'm just excited to have you.
So much, Norm. It is a pleasure and honor to participate this year at Faces of Riverside. And so, yeah, I'm super excited to be here, have a conversation, and to tell you a little bit more of what I do and all that stuff. So, very excited. But as you mentioned, right? So, my name is Citlalli Rojas, and I'm the managing partner of New York Life Insurance Company, and I lead the operations of New York Life in the Inland Empire region.
Okay, so that being said, and I want to talk a little bit more about that path and what all of those words you just said really mean. But before we do that, I'd like to give you a chance to just kind of introduce yourself from a personal standpoint. Tell us about where you came from, your family, how you're here in Riverside.
Yeah. So I was born and raised in Chiapas, Mexico, and I moved to Texas to go to college to start my career there. So I graduated from the University of the Rio Grande Valley, and while I was graduating, is I was looking for an internship. So it was in 2008, and probably all of you might remember that 2008 probably was the worst year to find a job, right? The unemployment rate was at the highest, economic crisis, and so on. But I had the opportunity to meet a partner with New York Life, and I started as a college intern agent with New York Life in South Texas. So I was an agent advisor for 4 years. Then I went into a leadership role within New York Life, which is called partner, where you're in the selection and developing of new agents, really helping new agents to launch their careers. And 3 years and a half later, I got promoted to be a senior partner and immediately had the opportunity to become a managing partner. And that's when we moved from South Texas to Southern California, specifically to Riverside, to lead the operations of the Inland Empire General Office here. So we've been in Riverside for about 8 years. Um, we love our community. We love the area. So it will be very hard to move out of Riverside at this point, I have to say.
Makes sense. So just a follow up then. So for the first 4 years, you were client facing, right? Customer facing,
Correct.
and moved into a leadership role. You're just out of college
Yep.
when you joined the organization. So what was that transition like for you? Was it, some people it's kind of a nervous thing where you go from being customer facing, taking direction and leadership from above, and suddenly you're a part of that. What was that like?
Yeah. And let me go one step back, because you got to understand, right? At New York Life, we help our clients with protection, accumulation, pretty much the holistic planning, right? So even to get started, I went to the interview and we started talking about the importance of having life insurance, retirement planning, investments, and so on, right? So I walk out of the interview and I call my dad, and I was like, Dad, do you have life insurance? Like, this is not a topic that we usually have, especially in Mexico, right? But also with the Latino community, it's not top of, I mean, it might be top of mind, but it's not something that you're like, oh yeah, I have everything, right? So that first and foremost opened my mind about what I didn't know and the opportunities that I could make a difference in the community, right? And really the passion started where like, hey, I want to help the community. I want to help my clients to plan for the future, protect their loved ones, and really being able to set aside money for their retirement, for the investments, and things like that, right? So that's the first thing. And then when I went from the agent to the leadership role, I was wondering, well, how can I continue making a bigger and better impact, right? And I realized that if I will focus on bringing people on board, coaching them, introducing them to the amazing platform that New York Life has, I was going to be able to make a greater impact, right? So instead of being Citlalli just touching 100 clients a year, now I could bring 10, 15, 20, 30 agents where they can make the same impact and really duplicating our efforts. So that was one of the reasons why I decided to go into a leadership role, because I wanted to make a bigger impact. Now, going back to your question, I have to say that, yes, I started with New York Life when I was 21. And when the opportunity came for me to go into a leadership role, to be honest, Norm, I was like, this is, I'm too young for this role, right? In my mind, and it's probably for like how I was raised and all that stuff, it was like, well, you need to be like in your like older ages to be a manager, to be in a leadership role. I don't have the experience. Like, how am I going to bring someone older than me and helping them launch a career, right? Thankfully, I have great mentors in New York Live and a great support system. Also at home, a great support system, and they really showed me like, Citlalli, you can do anything, right? So that transition at first was like, well, should I? I don't know, do I have what it takes? And I'm grateful that I made that decision and I went into a leadership role, right? And again, now I'm in the process of selecting, developing new agents, helping them launch their careers, and it has been the best career decision I've ever made in my life.
Awesome. So when you came to Riverside, what year was that?
That was in 2016.
Okay, so you come to Riverside in 2016 in this leadership managing partner role. Was it an empty building with just phones on the floor, or were you taking over an existing?
Yeah. No, it was an existing office. So
Okay.
to give you a little bit more context, there's over 100 offices nationwide of New York Life, and there's a managing partner in each one, right? So the managing partner that was here got promoted to another office. So now it was my opportunity to be here, right? Now, when the opportunity came about the office, you got to understand, right? If you're not from the area, you don't know where the Inland Empire general office is, right? So
Right.
I just knew it was in Southern California, so I had to do my research, right? And I had never been in this area, right? And I remember just everything I was reading was so great, right? Population growth, the community. It was just like everything was like, okay, this is too good to be true, right? Because it's an opportunity. And what we're looking is opportunities is the impact that we can make, right? So that means there's over 4.5 million people in the Inland Empire that we can help, that we can support, that we can protect and help them plan for that future. So I said yes, just with my online research that I had done, right? I look at the office, the agents, and so on. And a week later, I'm landing at the Ontario airport. And my first 30 pictures on my phone is of the mountains. Again, I was coming from South Texas, flat, right?
Right. Right.
Was like, oh my goodness, like these mountains are just amazing. So I got here, I was in a corporate housing for a few months, and then my husband joined me months later. But it was the people that were here were just amazing. Our advisors, our leadership team. They were amazing people. So it was a really great welcome here. And then a week later, I go to Good Morning Riverside, which I couldn't believe that people were going to an event at 6:45, 7 a.m. To be frank, I'm thinking there's going to be like 20 people, 30 people most. I was in shock how many community leaders were at Good Morning Riverside. So all of those type of things were like great signs for us that we had made the right decision to move here.
Okay, so you had a strong support team of mentors and leadership that were helping to lift you up and made sure that you succeeded in this role. were any of your fears realized about being too young in terms of the actual folks within your office, or was that transition as seamless as the journey that took you there?
I always like when I hear those questions, I always have this flashback moment, right? So, when I was in that transition to be an agent and partner, I remember that you have that fear, right? Because it's a role that you're not familiar with.
Sure.
It's something again, you don't know what you don't know, right? So, I was in a conference, and my managing partner at the time was introducing me to everyone as the next partner coming on board. Norm, I went to my room and I had this feeling here, right? I was so nervous and I was like, man, I'm not sure if I'm making the right decision of going into a leadership role, right? Like, but then that feeling, it was not an unfamiliar feeling. So that feeling, I had exactly the same feeling when I moved from Mexico to Texas to go to
Okay.
college, go to my first class, and understanding probably 15 or 10% of what the professor was talking about, right? It is that moment that I remember walking out and I'm like, what am I doing, right? Or reading a paragraph, and it will take me like an hour to really understand the whole paragraph. And I had my dictionary. Yes, we didn't have other stuff at the time, right? We're talking about like
Right.
20 years ago, pretty much. Uh, so it's that feeling, right? So I had that feeling before. And the second time that I recognized of having the same feeling was when I became an agent with New York Life, right? Because I was 21. I'm like, how am I gonna bring new clients? How am I gonna share? I mean, like, I'm just 21, right? Like, I don't even know have a 401k just yet, right? So
Right.
it was the same feeling. So at that moment, Norm, I knew that it was a good sign, that it was a good feeling to have. So when the opportunity came to move from South Texas to the Inland Empire, I had exactly the same feeling, but I just knew that it was a good feeling, right? Um, and I was super excited about the opportunity. And really, like, I knew there was going to be setbacks. I knew some people were going to be like, okay, so this is a female managing partner. We still don't have that many female managing partners, and just that's, I think it's normal I mean, it shouldn't be, but it still is,
Yep.
leadership roles and executive leadership roles nationwide. And so I need someone that is not even 30 years old and is coming to be a managing partner. So I knew there was going to be some people with questions and so on, but I was so confident that what I could bring to the table was very special and important. So that has always been my fuel.
Okay. So you were comfortably uncomfortable. You
Absolutely. Oh my goodness, you said it. Someone told me that years ago, and someone said to like you need to learn how to feel comfortable in an uncomfortable situation. So yes.
right. So you walk through the door, you get through those initial introductions, people begin to understand, accept, and I assume ultimately like who you are. How many agents did you have initially when you came to Riverside?
There was about numbers like 65, 70, and now we have grown to like 84, 85, and we continue growing.
Okay.
So
Okay.
evolving.
Okay. So let's talk about the agents then for a minute. You have begun to increase the number of those. I imagine that is a bit of a process to identify the makeup of who is a good agent and who isn't. And I assume you have just kind of learned that through your experience, as well as I'm sure the corporate information that they share based on the company wide experience with identifying the right prospects. But you also you go through the interview process. You have to hire them, train them, and help them grow their business. So, where are the challenges in that space for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's not perfect, right? But one thing I can tell you is that we're always looking for the right person, right? And the right person, there's two traits that I'm looking on the ideal candidate. And one is someone that is eager to grow, someone that is looking for that opportunity to go to a next level, right? So, and the second trait that I'm looking in a candidate is someone that can connect with people, can influence people, they want to help people, right? So those are the first two traits that I'm looking in a candidate, right? Now, I've been in situations, Norm, where I meet a candidate and they're so great with people, but they don't have that eager to grow, right? Because in this business, at the end of the day, it's your own business, entrepreneurial mindset, and you know that very well, right?
Right.
Uh, and so we need to look for those opportunities. So the first thing starts in the interview process, in the selection process. That's where I mean, not everybody's a good fit for our platform and for what we're looking. However, if we bring the right candidate, we are very confident that with our training program, with a support system, with a platform to grow, they can really build a very successful practice with us.
So that process from coming on board. So you've already identified them. They have the two traits that you're looking for. Well, before I ask that, I'm going to go back to the first trait. People that want to grow, you said. And the question is, does that require them to come in with a book of business? Do they have all their licenses and so forth? Or are you looking for people that want to ascend or grow within their careers, but have no background in your industry?
Yeah. So just to give you a little bit of the perspective, right? 90% of the people that we hire do not have previous experience in the industry.
Okay.
90%, right? Now, it's interesting because I've been with New York Life for 16 years now and in a recruiting side for 12 years now, right? And what I've noticed is like there's not any specific gender, ethnicity, age, background where I can say, hey, the best ones are this, right? What I pay attention though, it's like success in their lives, right? Like what are some of the signs of success, right? Because if someone has been switching jobs every year, every 2 years, the probability for them to switch jobs with us, it's also very high, right?
Makes sense. Yeah.
We've brought people on board with an amazing market, but they are not confident enough to reach out to that market, right? And more importantly, Norm, I think it's understanding what you're doing, right? If you feel that you're just selling a product and that's it, that you're not bringing value, it's going to be very difficult for you to make the impact and to really be able to offer something, right? But once you understand that at the moment that you're talking to a family, you're doing the holistic planning, you're helping them to protect their loved ones, right? Like if anything happens to one of them, that the family is going to be able to stay at their house where they are, where they can continue making payments for their mortgage, where their kids can continue going to school, or where they can pay for college education. I mean, once you understand the level of the impact that you have, it's just easier to talk to people and connect with people.
Okay. So then, as a new agent coming in, well, are you constantly recruiting?
Yeah, yeah. So we are because we're looking at so we're always asking like how can we expand our footprint in the community, right? I just mentioned Inland Empires has like 4.5 million people or more and growing, right?
Right. And you actually didn't mean to interrupt you, but so you actually 4.5 million people means you're going out to Coachella Valley, down to Temecula, right? So you're literally covering all of the Inland Empire.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
So our agents have clients. I mean, our agents can have clients anywhere, right? Not just in the area, in the Inland Empire, Riverside County, San Bernardino County. They can have clients in LA, San Diego, Texas, and other states, right? So it's not limited to one region. Uh,
Okay.
but when to think about the immediate impact is the community where we are, where our agents are, and that's we have agents in the San Bernardino County and Riverside County, right? So we have agents Palm Desert, Coachella. We have agents in the Temecula, Murrieta areas. I mean, we have agents all over, right? Ontario, Rancho, Victorville, Redlands. I mean, we have agents all over the Inland Empire. Okay,
Okay.
so that's the impact that we have.
Okay. So that new agent who comes on board, especially those that are fit into that 90% category that don't have experience or a background within the industry, um, what is the ramp up time? If there is such a thing as an average time, how long does it take someone to learn the specifics and nuance of the products and services that you offer, to learn the process? I assume that you're working with them in terms of training, how they interact with people and how they build their book of business, so to speak. How long does it take for someone to become a quote unquote successful agent?
Yeah, I mean, so the training that we have, Norm, is a top-notch training in the industry. And our training is not just for a week, a month, 1 year, 2 years. It's like pretty much for the tenure of your career at New York Life. So there's always training, there's always designations to go forward, right? So now when someone comes on board, they first need the life and health license and eventually their securities license. Okay, so they can offer additional products. But we have
Okay.
the platform, we have the study material, we have all of that. And then when an agent comes on board, they can make a decision whether they want to go and do the holistic planning or they want to go into a more specialized, which is the financial advisor path, or if they want to go into a leadership path, pretty much the path that I took, right? So
Okay.
going back to your question, you interview someone, let's say we say, hey, let's do it. You are meeting both traits, right? You're eager to grow and I want to help people, right? I want to make an impact and what a great opportunity. So then they have to go and take the life and health license, 52 hours. They go and do that. Once their contract is approved, we also open the securities license so they can start studying for the SIE 6 and 63 or the SIE 7 and 65 or 63. And then that process starts. The first appointments, one of our team members is with that agent so we can show them the process, kind of like what is the solutions that we have. Um, so there's a lot of like hands-on when we bring a new agent on board, right? And
Okay.
and the reason why we can do that, right, or bring in that 90% of the agents do not have experience is because we have the platform, that support system, and again, that training program to help them launch their careers, right? So that's we feel very confident on that process.
Okay. So can I take a different perspective for a second?
Of course. Yeah.
So let's look at it from the client
Yeah.
side. I realize that you are not out yourself, still building new client relationships and so forth. Um, your agents are doing that.
Correct.
So if I am a potential client, um, why New York Life as opposed to the myriad of other quote unquote insurance companies
Yeah.
that are out there? Because I do know that I think for those who are probably ill prepared financially for all the things that they need
Yeah.
to take care of their family and so forth in the future, might even perceive New York Life as just being an insurance company,
Yeah.
and you are obviously much more than that. So how why choose New York Life?
Yeah.
Why work with an agent, one of your agents?
Yeah, that's a great question, Norm. And definitely that's something because when people see New York Life, they just think insurance, life insurance, and things like that. So the first thing is New York Life has been around for 180 years. Like literally in April, we're turning 180. We have the top ratings in all the key financial ratings agencies. We are ranking number 78 in the Fortune 500. So our organization is a very solid company. So when you're making a decision whether to buy a life insurance policy or a long-term care or to invest with New York Life, you want to make sure that that company is going to be there by the time either your family members need it or you need it, whether it's in a month from now, 50, 60, or 100 years from now, right? So you're right. There's so many organizations or so many insurance companies, but as you're buying a policy, right, you want to make sure that it's going to be with a strong, solid company that is going to carry your policies. And second, why the need of an agent or advisor with New York Life? It's because they have the training and there's a huge investment on developing those advisors. So what happens is when you come on board and you meet with an advisor, you know that they are very well trained and that they have all the resources available to better serve their clients. So there is that confidence level, right? Because even though we're bringing a new agent, so let's say, Norm, a friend of yours calls you and you're like, hey, this guy just started last month. What does he know about investments and all that stuff? Well,
Right.
the thing is that there is a huge team helping that agent, right? With years of experience in different areas. And also, when an agent comes on board, not only do they have the opportunity to work with someone like me with more experience, but we have mentor agents and we also have product consultants that support those agents in each area, right? So
Okay.
there's a lot of support. So again, when you meet with a New York Life agent, New York Life advisor, you're opening the door of a humongous organization with all the resources um, available to you.
Okay. So, still from a client perspective, if I may,
Yeah.
how do I know? Is there such a thing as an ideal client? What are the conditions that defines an ideal client, or if there is no such thing, because they all come to you at different levels of readiness, financial status, and so forth. So, when is the right time? So, is there an ideal client? And when is the right time for that client to reach out?
Yeah, I love your questions, Norm, by the way. So
Thank
first
you.
one is that the ideal consumers for us is someone that is 15 days old or someone that is in the 80s, 90s looking to transfer assets. Okay?
Okay.
So that's our consumers, right? I mean, we have clients that literally were just born 15 days ago and we do policies on them for two reasons, for the death benefit, but also for the cash accumulation in those policies, right? Lock-in insurability and so on. And then for the 80, 90s, it's because they're looking to transfer some assets, minimizing taxes. We're talking about state taxes, estate planning. So there's different areas there, right? So when we talk about life insurance, right, this is the thing, Norm. As long as someone loves someone, there's always going to be a need of life insurance. Whether it comes to you the 20s, whether it's at 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, right? We gotta make sure that we're leaving some protection. And what happens, Norm? You might think, well, people should have that in mind, right? Like, I mean, they should have their life insurance policy in place. They should have their retirement and so on. And the reality is that it's not, right? You might see our New York Life logo, but the walk-ins that we have, it's either existing clients or people already with that disease, and it will be very hard to get them insured, right? So our job as an agents, as advisors, is really to reach out to that client before our enemies arrive to them, which is death and disability, right? So we gotta make sure that we have that protection. And at the end of the day, Norm, our biggest thing is to provide education about these products. And I think it's extremely important because, as I mentioned earlier, right, I started with New York Life. I was born and raised in Mexico. We've never talked about insurance. As a matter of fact, what we used to think about insurance, or me personally at 21, prior working with New York Life, was that insurance is just a wasting of your money, right? You're never going to get to use it, right? The companies are always going to find a way not to pay for it, right? So that was kind of like my perspective of insurance, right? And then you realize that it's to protect, right? It's to make sure that your family is going to be okay, because we know, Norm, that when someone passes away, we know that there's going to be an emotional impact, but there's also going to be a financial impact, and our job is to help alleviate that financial impact.
Okay. So if I am, um, you've talked about agents and advisors, and maybe they're one and the same, or advisors might be more on the Series 7 side, if you will, versus agents more on the insurance side, and or I'm sure folks do all of the above. If I have relationships with an estate planning attorney who has done a trust for me, or I work with a CPA because I own a business and I funnel a lot of that financial process, if you will, through that CPA. And I decide that I want to sit down with you or one of your agents. Is everything a la carte? I can maintain a relationship over here and still do something with New York Life, or do I have to? Does everything get folded into New York Life?
No. It's like all of those people that you mentioned are trusted partners, are your trusted partners, right? So ideally, a person has that estate planning attorney. They have that is doing the wills or trust and so on. They have their CPA, right? They have their advisors and agents with New York Life. So all of them are working together to better serve you, right? So at New York Life, we have our advanced planning group, which is a group of attorneys and accountants that help us to give you that legal and tax advice, right? But when we're putting a plan together, we're going to bring your attorneys and your CPAs to put everything together, right? So we
Okay.
work very closely with what we call those trusted advisors to better put a plan together for you.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense. Okay, so I want to shift gears just for a second here, just a few more questions. We have taken the journey with you from your country of origin to being a managing partner and recruiting and managing agents all over the Inland Empire. Um, the Can we shift to community for a second?
Of course. Yeah.
I'd love to know, as you, as I already know, are involved at the chamber on some level, the Chamber of Commerce here in Riverside, as am I. But can you talk a little bit about what you're doing in the community? Because I know that's something that's important to you. So please tell us a little more about that.
Yeah, so as I mentioned to you, right, a week after I moved to Riverside, my first event that I attended was Good Morning Riverside. I was again impressed by the amount of people that were in the room, first and foremost, right? And at Thursday at 7 a.m. But more importantly, the community leaders and how everybody was so into, they're all there working together to really make the city better, right? To improve in so many ways. So I immediately became a member for the chamber. I was new in the area, right? I only knew obviously my agents and so on, but I wanted to get to know like who is who in Riverside, right? I joined the chamber as a member. Eventually, I joined La Sierra Business Council as a board member there. Eventually, as a president, I'm a past president there. Eventually, I joined the general board, and now I'm on the executive board of the chamber. And that has been just the best experience to really get to know more about the city, what we're doing, and those type of things. And recently, I got appointed to be a board of trustee for the Riverside Community Hospital. And that was very important to me because both of my daughters were born there. My oldest is 5, my youngest is 2. So I have my perspectives there. So I'm really, really excited to be part of that. But more importantly is to give back, right? Because what it became once like a new city to me, now this is home, right? As I mentioned, my 2 daughters were born here. We bought our first home here in Riverside. And it's for my husband, this is the longest that he's been in a city in the US, right? Which is Riverside. So it is an amazing opportunity. And more importantly, Norm, like as you're getting to know more people just like you, right? It's so amazing to be surrounded by people like you that want to grow, want the city to grow, and they're willing to give back. So I just love that, right? So and also with that, right, Norm, it's like how can I bring what we have, what we offer at New York Life into the community? And there's 2 different ways, right? So one, of course, the moment that we're helping our clients to protect their loved ones, keep their homes, being able to retire, being able to save for college education, I mean, we're making an economic impact in the region. There's no
Sure.
questions asked, right? And the second one is that with New York Life, we also have the New York Life Foundation. With that foundation, we're able to give back to certain organizations and to a lot of organizations. Some of them have been Feeding America, the Ronald McDonald House, Voices for Children, Habitat for Humanity, United Way. I mean, the Little Shoes. I mean, his Little Shoes. I mean, there's so many organizations, and the way we do that is by volunteering hours. And so there's different programs that we have through our foundation that our agents can apply for those grants, that we can give back to the community. So I'm blessed that I'm working with an organization where not only we're making an impact to help our clients on their financial sides, but also that we have the support to give back to the community through our foundations. So we continue growing, and that's a very important side for our office to maintain that support to the community.
Yeah, super important. And it's great that you guys are able to do that. Obviously, you're a large organization, but there are smaller organizations within the city that are also doing that on a significantly smaller scale. But it all comes together and makes the quality of life here in Riverside that much better. So, well, this has been fabulous. I do have one more question, and that is, what question didn't I ask that I should have?
I think you did a great job, Norm. I mean,
Oh, well,
I
thank you.
enjoyed this. You know, you told me, Citlalli, it's gonna be super casual. You're gonna be you make me feel super comfortable and everything. I think we cover all, and it's just, you know, at the end of the day, as a managing partner, um, it's just to grow, right, and to see the community growing, and our goals for this year, right, is to elevate our business, support our agents so they can better serve their clients, and also bring those individuals that are looking for an opportunity, right? That they're eager to grow, and that they have a chance to at the same time help people by doing so. So that is our biggest eye for this year. You know, biggest goal is to bring those individuals, look for those individuals. And if you're watching this video, feel free to reach out, or if you know someone that comes to mind that needs to explore the opportunities, please reach out to us.
So you are always recruiting.
Always the opportunities, right? It is, look, someone gave me the opportunity 16 years ago, and I will always be grateful to that person because they believe in someone that English was not their first language. I was 21. I was new in the area. I had been living in the area for 3.5 years, and she gave me the opportunity of an amazing opportunity, a lifetime opportunity. So now it's my job to provide that and give that opportunity to others.
Love that. Okay. Okay. So, Citlalli, thank you so much for the opportunity to have this conversation with you. I'm going to put, with your permission, your contact information below in the video so that folks can reach out to you directly, whether they are interested in pursuing a potential career, or at least learning a little bit about that. Or they are a client that can benefit from the expertise that you and your agents offer. That would be great. You work with businesses as well, or your agents work with businesses as well. So, because that's a slightly different track, or there's a few additional parts to it because they're still individuals. So I'll put all that contact information down below. And thank you so much for joining us today.
Norm, thank you so much for having us, or having me at New York Live, right? So I really enjoy this. So thank you for the opportunity.
You're welcome. Thank you.